It's me. Sorry, I don't have an intro this week because they're hard to work on, and I just did 2 videos in 2 weeks. So if I don't have an idea, I don't have a video. Star Trek Beyond, directed by Justin Lin, starring Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Carl Urban, Zoe Saldana, and Simon Pegg. Now, for a change of pace, I'm going to try to improvise the plot. I don't have it written down anywhere. So the Enterprise is on their 5-year mission, and they are trying to broker a peace between these two planets using an ancient artifact, and that doesn't work, so they leave, find a derelict ship with an alien on it. The alien tells them that she needs help getting through a nebula, and the Enterprise is the only ship that can do it. So they take the alien on the ship through the nebula. They find a planet there. The planet is guarded by this massive swarm of enemy spaceships who ignore the hailing from the Enterprise and just attack, destroying the Enterprise within 20 minutes, which actually should have been my intro about how much I like seeing the Enterprise get destroyed. That was what I was thinking in the theater. Damn it! So they all get split up. This is why this is really hard, because there's multiple storylines going on. Uhura and Sulu are taken captive along with like 90% of the crew. Bones and Spock escape together. Scotty escapes on his own, and Kirk and Chekhov are together. Scotty finds an alien woman in the woods named Jayla, played by Sofia Boutella, and Kirk and Chekhov go and investigate the crashed Enterprise, where they find out that the alien who led them there was a traitor, and she is crushed underneath the Enterprise. Scotty and Jayla retrofit this old spaceship called the Franklin with transport technology that will work on people. They transport Spock and Bones after Kirk and Chekhov stumble upon the hideout. And then, so the 6 of them are together. They begin a rescue mission of their crew from the alien Krall. The Krall gets a hold of the ancient artifact that they were using for the peace treaty. It turns out to be a crazy powerful weapon that dissolves people. He escapes off planet. The crew of the Enterprise manage to transport everyone onto the Franklin. The Franklin takes off. They go to this space station, which has all sorts of it's like a ring world that had crashed into 6 other ring worlds, and now it's just a knot with gravity all over the place. They have some big battle sequence trying to stop Krall from using the device to kill everyone there. He ends up being destroyed, and they use a Beastie Boys song to defeat the swarm of enemy ships. Bam, done. It's definitely the best of all the reboot movies because of one fact. Not one scene takes place on Earth, which is my least favorite planet of all of them. So since it's the best of the reboot, it's by default the best of the Star Trek movies, in my opinion. It's also shorter than Into Darkness, which was my previous favorite, and had a lot cleaner ending. But Krall wasn't as good as Khan was. I really like Benedict Cumberbatch, but I really like Idris Elba too. But I've seen Idris Elba in like 5 movies this year, and most of the time he's a villain. Now, I didn't really like Chris Pine before seeing the Star Trek movies, because honestly, all I've ever seen him in is a movie called Z for Zachariah, which many people probably haven't heard of because it was an indie movie, and it wasn't very good. I really did not understand what was going on at all. I'm not reviewing that movie. But I saw Chris Pine do his Kirk thing, and I really liked it. And I saw him in interviews talking about the franchise and showing off his knowledge, and I got a lot of admiration for him now. Now, Zachary Quinto, I have a bit of a weird issue with. He plays Spock fine. I see Spock in him. It's just his voice. It's a little too nasal, a little too pitchy. I assume that Vulcans go through puberty at a later age than, like maybe the vocal portion of puberty after everything else, and that like in time it'll deepen. But man, he sounds like a little kid. The thing I don't get about the new Enterprise is how everyone is an expert now. Not everyone, but Uhura is a master xenolinguistics and whatever it is she does, a communications degree, I assume. Chekhov is the only one on the ship who can transport people who are falling and has to run to the teleporter room, even though it's, on the other end of the ship or wherever it is. I don't have a diagram of the ship. And Scotty fucking invented transwarp teleportation. Like, those don't seem like the kind of people you want out in the field on a 5-year mission. Those are like people that you want instructing or, at the very least, doing something from a desk. Useful. Putting their lives in danger seems like a waste of talent for these people. But Bones and Sulu are fine. They're about where they want to. I like Sulu's kind of arc through the 3 movies, how in the beginning he screwed up starting the ship, and in the second one he was uncomfortable sitting in the captain's chair because he hadn't done it yet. But in the third one, they leave him in charge, and he handles it. So it was kind of neat how he got better as he went on. See, but in the original series, I imagine that the Enterprise was one of many 5-year missions going on, and that it was just an average crew. And what really set them apart, what earned them the television show, was the fact they had an above-average captain in Kirk. He was definitely better than most captains. And the half Vulcan. I don't know if Spock is the only one of his kind in Starfleet, but I'm pretty sure he is. I mean, they could have brought something up in a show I haven't seen. Because there was Tuvok in Deep Space Nine, but Voyager, duh. But that was probably 100 years after the original series. I was happy Chekhov got to hang out with the captain, since he was in the engine room during Into Darkness for like the whole thing, just taking blame for stuff that everyone knew wasn't his fault. And also because, Anton Yelchin died. But it was a nice send-off. It was nice that for our last movie with Chekhov, he did a lot. He was useful. I hope that the character gets an off-screen promotion and, they say, oh, Commander Chekhov now of some other ship is doing something. As opposed to just killing him off outright, because I don't think that would be particularly respectful to Mr. Yelchin. They brought up Leonard Nimoy's death in the form of Spock dying. Ambassador Spock, I should mention. And I got a good long tear out of my right eye with very little effort, so that was nice. A little emotional connection. And oddly enough, the emotional connection was with Zachary Quinto. So, his voice is weird, but it doesn't ruin anything for me. Now, Idris Elba plays Krall, who is a human from hundreds of years ago, similar to Khan, that turned into an alien that can drain the life force of people to extend his age. And they reveal that he was aboard the Franklin, which went missing hundreds of years ago, but glossed over how he turned into an alien, how the immortality shit works, how he turned back to human temporarily at the end, how his entire crew became aliens, or how they got their swarm of millions of tiny spaceships that navigate using telepathic hive mind technology. That's weak to the Beastie Boys. They managed to gloss over all that because the crux of the issue with this entire reboot is that they don't give a shit about scientific inaccuracy. I've seen the original series, a little over half of Next Generation, a couple of episodes of Voyager before some drunk guy came in and started talking to me for 3 hours. But I'm fairly confident in those ones the science added up. I don't know if they actually had a scientist on staff who could fact check for them, or if Roddenberry just had a lot of friends. But at least for the time that the shows were on, they seem pretty accurate to me. But now it's like the studio is telling the writers of these new movies not to worry about that because that might turn off casual viewers, such as non-nerds. Sophia Boutella's in this. Do you know who that is? The chick with the awesome knife legs in Kingsman's? You remember. She was the best part of the antagonistic side of the movie. See, the point is, I was told that she was in this movie, but I forgot, and then I spent the entirety of her screen time trying to remember who it was, and it distracted me a lot. I kept getting caught on Alicia Vikander because of the accent, but the facial features didn't match up, so it was just frustrating for me. At one point, I was like, is it Zoe Saldana? I was like, no, she's right over there. That's not her. So the point of my point is I want to see it again so that I can focus. Now that I just remember Sophia Boutella is in it, I can do that. In conclusion, Star Trek was a fun movie if you don't think too hard about what's actually happening. The opening scene wasn't quite as good as the one from Into Darkness. It was Star Trek-y, but I don't know. I like the one from Into Darkness better. I like the colors of it. I liked how it wasn't just a joke, but it did have more to do with the plot, with the alien artifact. It's kind of like win one, lose one. So I don't really like the reliance on action in this series. A lot of battles feel really drawn out and don't have the Star Trek feel like the Next Generation movies. However, the end sequence with them blasting the Beastie Boys and surfing on a wave of exploding swarm ships, that was probably, like, not the whole end sequence, but that part itself was probably one of my favorite things that I've seen all year, alongside Black Panther in the Civil War and Mean Girls. That was really good. And that's all I have to say about Star Trek Beyond.